Hello, football fans. I hope you're doing well. It's Sunday, January 5th, and today we're diving into the Dani Olmo situation. We'll try to understand what's happening at the moment, what's likely to unfold in the coming days, and of course, we'll discuss the famous 1-4-1 rule that is back in effect for Barça. We will explain what this rule means and its implications for the winter transfer window, which initially seemed calm but might actually heat up. We'll go over all of this, so let's get started. Previously, we shared a video where we mentioned that Barça had submitted the financial documents that were missing, proof of payment to be precise. To give you some context, Barça recently sold operational rights for their VIP boxes for a total of 100 million euros. However, only 40% of the payment from one of the companies, a Dubai-based firm, was received by Barça as of yesterday. On the other hand, a Qatari company involved in the deal had already paid the full amount up front. The delay in receiving this 40% caused issues with La Liga, which had been requesting proof of payment and receipt confirmation since December 31st. These documents were only provided yesterday. Unfortunately, because the payment confirmations arrived late, Barça's licenses for Victor and Dani Olmo were canceled as of December 31st. As a result, Barça couldn't renew them before the deadline of December 31st at 11:59 p.m. As we continue, today brings a very interesting situation. Yesterday was packed with activity, including several key meetings involving Laporta. One notable moment occurred around 9 p.m. when a report was accidentally published on Laporta's WhatsApp stories. Likely a mistake. This report detailed Barça's argument for attempting to register Dani Olmo and Pau Victor. Let me break this down for you as clearly as possible. According to the statutes of the Spanish Football Federation, a player cannot be registered twice for the same club in the same season. This rule has already been enforced in the past, most notably during the Aubameyang case. Here's what happened. In the summer of 2022, Barça registered Aubameyang before transferring him to Chelsea. Later, in January, Barça tried to bring him back, but registering him again within the same season violated this rule. As a result, the potential deal was canceled. Now, Barça argues that this rule shouldn't apply in their case. Why? Let me explain. According to the statutes of the Spanish Federation, this rule applies to players whose licenses have been canceled due to specific reasons, such as a transfer, a player refusing to fulfill their duties, or a decision by the club, which is the employer. In short, there are several conditions under which a license can be canceled, and when that happens, the rule prevents the same player from being registered again for the same club within the same season. However, Barça explains that this rule doesn't apply to Pau Victor and Dani Olmo, and they might actually have a valid point. Here's why. The statutes of the Spanish Federation don't account for situations where a player is temporarily registered due to an injury to another teammate. In this particular case, Barça argues that the rule, which was designed to prevent certain abuses, doesn't apply here. There's no abuse involved. In fact, the opposite is true. Both the club and the players want to continue working together. But this rule is now preventing them from doing so. Barça's interpretation of the rule is that it doesn't apply to Dani Olmo and Pau Victor, and from a legal perspective, they might be correct. The situation reveals a legal gray area in the Federation statutes that doesn't account for temporary registrations like these. So, this argument has been further elaborated by Laporta, who explained the situation later in the evening. Meanwhile, Catalonia's RAC 1 radio reported that both La Liga and the Spanish Federation seem to agree with Barça's interpretation. However, there's a significant problem. Neither institution wants to officially validate the registrations. The issue arises because neither La Liga nor the Spanish Federation wants to take responsibility for potentially upsetting other clubs. There is concern that such a move could create the perception of favoritism towards Barça, which remains a sensitive topic. The Spanish Federation officially stated yesterday evening that they had been waiting since noon for La Liga to submit the required documents. However, La Liga responded that the responsibility lies with the Federation to validate the registrations. This back and forth has left Barça in a position where valuable time is being lost. In the event that the registrations are not approved this weekend, Barça plans to escalate the matter to the Higher Council of Sport, Consejo Superior de Deportes, in Spain. This administrative institution has the authority to grant temporary approval for the registrations of Pau Victor and Dani Olmo, while awaiting a final judicial decision. Based on the regulations and circumstances, there appears to be a strong case for Barça to succeed in such proceedings. This would allow La Liga and the Spanish Federation to avoid taking direct responsibility for approving registrations outside the prescribed timeline. Barça's argument emphasizes that La Liga should not have canceled the licenses for Pau Victor and Dani Olmo, as the rule in question does not apply to their specific situation, which is not explicitly addressed in the Federation statutes. If no positive resolution emerges before Tuesday, Barça is expected to bring the matter before the Higher Council of Sport to seek temporary authorization for the registrations. Another key development is the official confirmation of the 1-4-1 rule, which both La Liga and Barça confirmed this yesterday evening. So, what is the 1-4-1 rule? Let's break it down. This rule means that for Barça to spend €1, they first need to save €1. Previously, the requirement was far stricter, with clubs needing to save much more before being allowed to spend. This rule was introduced by La Liga in 2013 to ensure that clubs exceeding their salary limits could operate in a more economically sustainable manner. It's important to clarify how this rule works. Some people assume it means that to buy a player for €100 million, the club must first save €100 million. But this is not the case. Instead, the calculation is based on the player's annual cost. Here's an example. Suppose a player costs €100 million in transfer fees and has an annual gross salary of €20 million. The cost of the club is calculated annually. If the player signs a 5-year contract, the €100 million transfer fee is amortized over the duration of the contract, resulting in €20 million per year. To this, you add the annual gross salary of €20 million. This brings the total annual cost of the player to €40 million, €20 million in amortization plus €20 million in salary. Under the 1-4-1 rule, Barça would need to save €40 million in annual costs before acquiring such a player. In the past, they would have needed to save nearly double or even triple that amount, making this rule a significant improvement for the club's financial flexibility. This explanation provides a simplified view of how the 1-4-1 rule operates and why it is seen as a critical factor in Barça's transfer strategy moving forward. To determine how much Barça needs to save before purchasing a player, the calculation is straightforward. It involves considering the financial impact of a departing player. For example, let's assume Eric Garcia leaves for €10 million in the summer rather than this winter. Since he originally joined Barça on a free transfer, the club would register a full accounting surplus of €10 million. Additionally, Eric Garcia's annual gross salary is €8 million. Therefore, his departure would free up €8 million in salary costs. Combining the accounting surplus, €10 million, with the freed-up salary costs, €8 million, Barça would save €18 million overall. However, to calculate the fair play margin, we need to focus on the annual impact. This includes the €8 million saved from salary and the yearly contribution of the accounting surplus spread over his remaining contract, which is assumed to generate €10 million annually. This means Barça would generate €18 million of fair play margin, €8 million salary plus €10 million accounting gain. With this €18 million margin, the club could recruit a new player whose annual cost does not exceed €18 million. While the process may seem complex at first, it becomes straightforward with a bit of attention to detail. This calculation is essential for Barça to navigate the financial restrictions of La Liga while reinforcing their squad effectively. Now that we've covered the financial mechanics, let's look at the latest rumors surrounding Barça's transfer window. This morning, Miguel Rico, a well-respected journalist from Diario and formerly with Mundo Deportivo, shared some updates. He explained that Barça could still be active in this transfer window, with two key developments potentially shaping their strategy. First, there is the situation with Eric Garcia, who may leave the club as early as January. Additionally, Ansu Fati has reportedly received an offer from Girona FC. These potential departures could create room for Barça to pursue new signings. However, if Pau Victor and Dani Olmo are not successfully registered, Barça might be even more inclined to enter the market to strengthen their squad. Despite being under the 1-4-1 rule, the club must carefully monitor the salary cap margin to avoid exceeding it. Here's why the margin is crucial. If Barça spends without sufficient savings to offset the expense, they risk breaching the salary limit. This would mean falling back under the stricter financial rules, where the ratio would no longer be 1-4-1, but far less favorable. For this reason, the ideal approach would be to sell players first to free up additional room under the salary cap before making new purchases. Currently, the exact margin Barça has to work with remains unclear, making their strategy in the market highly dependent on outgoing transfers. As mentioned earlier, Eric Garcia and Ansu Fati have both attracted offers from Girona FC. Just to clarify, the summer example was hypothetical, but it's clear that the winter window holds potential for Garcia's departure. Barca's head coach, Hans Flick, appeared a bit surprised in his press conference yesterday, noting that Garcia is an important part of the squad. However, the club's financial situation can always shift quickly, which could influence decisions in the transfer window. Regarding other possible signings, there has been much speculation surrounding Marcus Rashford, with rumors suggesting he wants to join Barça. However, the situation is still unclear. The key questions are, under what conditions could this happen? What would the transfer fee be? And could it be a loan deal instead? At this point, these are still open questions, as there have been no direct discussions yet, and Deco, the club's sporting director, is currently on vacation. It's worth noting that Deco's vacation means he hasn't been involved in the financial fair play issues related to Barca's registrations. But keep an eye on this file, as it could be activated soon. That's all the information for now. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you next time. As always, take care.